All right, we're going to figure out what kind of train wreck this is going to be. Yeah. Good push.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Was that a real burp or was it a fake one?
No, that was a good one. I held that. I got it in, and then I held it for a little bit, but then it kind of like went down to my chesticle area.
That's what she said.
It did. She did say it. She's never said that.
She's never said it's been deep enough to go into her chesticles.
She's never said that.
That's never been a thing.
That's a damn lie.
Anyways,
what are we doing, Jess?
we're getting warhammered.
Yeah, we are.
Based on this conversation, most people probably think we already are.
Right? We just got here.
That we just started. Anyways, this is Warhammered. It's a nerd podcast where we talk about nerd things. Specifically about the things from the Warhammer universe.
Mm-hmm.
But we only talk about that at the...
Wave top level.
Absolutely. And other gaming stuff. And then we also talk about booze.
Yeah. Our two great loves in this world.
Yeah. Grim Dark and beer.
Dark
Which
beer.
in the Grimdark there was beer, so it kind of goes hand in hand.
Oh my God. Can we make it? Can the next one just be called the Grim Dark beer?
Yes. Sure.
No,
Sure.
it should be called something like the Space Wolf Stash or something like that.
Nah, that's getting too dark. They can't. They don't have rights on Grimdark
Space Stash.
because that's just like it's like a Zeitgeist aesthetic term
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
So you
yeah.
can use that term, but as soon as you say something like Space Wolves or
I would love for them to send me India.
Well, we'd
a
frame
cease and
it.
desist.
A cease
Yeah,
and
we'd,
desist.
I'd frame it.
We'd frame it.
We'd hang it on the wall right
It would
there.
it would be immediately be like, fine, it's changed names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
now
thank you.
It's no longer the Space Wolves Ale. It's now the Eldari wine
yeah,
seltzer.
yeah.
Congratulations.
They're not paying attention.
The
to
Eldari would
us.
drink a seltzer.
Yeah, they would.
We're too small for them.
Yeah, they don't give a shit. It wouldn't even be worth them
No.
like having an attorney draft.
They
them.
love suing people.
Yeah.
They love suing people.
So does Disney.
Disney sued a daycare one time because they had poorly painted versions of their characters on
Yeah.
a wall inside the daycare.
Well, I bet the suing wasn't because of it was probably the craftsmanship of it. Be like, no, that's a shitty group making.
How dare you make Pluto look like that?
Yeah, you need to redo that and spend at least $20.
It's not Pluto, it's Bluto.
What the fuck? What did you have your? Did you
Yeah.
actually have the kids from
draw-
here
yeah,
draw
that's
this?
bullshit. Yeah.
This is terrible.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll get into the one factual thing that we have on this show, which now has even better production value. Ladies and gentlemen, the only factual part of this show, a true passion coming from the deep cockles of his heart. He's going to explain to you all that is delicious and imbibable right here on Jim's Beer Corner.
You don't mess with tradition.
No, you don't. I was actually waiting for that. I was just like, give me a moment.
I was watching the board and I was like, he's going to press it again. It's gonna
Yeah,
stop.
he's gonna have to. So yeah, beer corner and such. We are going to talk about a beer style.
Your favorite.
It's not. Not even close.
It's not
It's not my
fact.
favorite.
Yeah.
It is the Kolsch. A Kolsch. It is actually, and it's not my favorite because a lot of people make them and no one does it well.
This is the exact same argument I have about IPAs.
Yeah.
Is they're fucking everywhere,
Yeah.
and most of them are bad.
Yeah. You get into the early summer, you're going to just see Kolsches all over the place, and very rarely are they made correctly. But imagine if you go to Cologne in Germany and you'd have a Kolsch, it is one of the most, I've heard, I haven't done it, is one of the most beautiful beers you've ever drank in your
Okay,
entire life.
so then I'm going to throw a little something in here.
Cool.
Because we do the beer explanation and then we do a tasting. So before we get into we're not even going to open them yet.
Okay.
We're gonna
No, I'm back. I'm leaning back.
Okay. So we got into why you're not a big fan of at least the bulk of Kolsch's. It's not that you're anti-Kolsch.
No,
you're
no.
just anti
Poor craftsmanship.
our options that we have.
Yeah, yeah.
So what is a Kolsch? Like, let's
a
just
Kolsch
start
is a very light beer. It's a straw-colored ale that is fermented at lower temperatures, so it's going to suppress a lot of ester profile. Oh, I'm riveting Caitlin right now. She just leaned back with a big old yawn.
Sorry. I knew I wasn't on camera, so I was like, but I need to get away from the microphone.
So it is but this beer is all about balance. You're going to be using just the best ingredients you can. You're going to be using a very specific type of yeast, and it's just supposed to be a very balanced drinking beer. It's also really cool how they do it in Germany. So when you go to a Cologne beer house, and this is just a really interesting thing, is that they hand you a coaster. You sit down, and there's a coaster in front of you. And there's just people walking around with beer glasses. And it's like dim sum. Have you ever had dim sum? Where you just like walk up to, you just like grab it off the cart and throw it on. And that's the way they do it. And then somebody comes by and snaps your coaster. Like puts a little chit on it. And at the end of the
however
time,
many little holes you have
and
in
as
it.
many holes, you walk up to the cashier and you're like, this is my coaster. And
So
they're
is-
just like, yeah, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, you had 5 beers.
Is Kolsch specific to the Cologne region?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a regional style.
This is an extreme regional style.
Okay.
Like the Cologne region is so much into their Kolsch beers that it's like you can't, that's what they do. You can't get another beer there.
It's like Cheerwine in Carolina.
It's like, what?
So there is a soda in North Carolina called Cheerwine, and you like can't get that shit anywhere but in North Carolina. And it's got this crazy cult following. And it's like shitty cherry Coke.
Is it like,
But
very
for
similar-
some reason,
is it like Malort?
yeah, or like Malort to Chicago. Like
Yeah.
nobody knows why everybody likes it, but for some reason, the thing is that Cheerwine is like drinkable.
Okay, Malort.
Kolsch is drinkable.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Malort is just somehow like 100-year-old joke that just won't die. It like
That just gets renewed by sadists and masochists the world over.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. It's like a burn victim that just keeps setting themselves on fire.
Right. So most of the people like in the deep south area. So what we're looking at.
Well,
Those
I was
guys.
talking about Malort.
Yeah, well,
But-
same thing.
yeah.
yeah.
So,
But,
but yeah,
um,
yeah.
So anyway, the Kolsch, it's a great style if it's made correctly, and these are breweries that have been making this beer for 600-700 years. Like this is what they do, and they make it perfectly, and so it's just really hard to replicate it.
Is it wheat style beer?
No, it is a barley beer. It's like a craft drinker's light beer. Is kind of how it always is.
Is it the technique that's very specific that people can't replicate, or is it the soil and the barley they're growing there is very different?
No, it's more the techniques.
Okay.
It's the brewing tradition. It's just knowing perfectly how the yeast reacts at different times, using the proper, fermentation vessels, proper temperature. It's just stuff that you can't recreate.
Germany's pretty cold anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a very interesting beer. So, you're going to get a lot of like kind of grassy flavors to it. It's going to be very light drinking. You're going to get some little bit, if it's made incorrectly or not as well, you're going to get kind of sulfur notes to it.
Okay. Like eggy?
Yeah. Like eggy sulfur notes, because this yeast can put off a lot of sulfur if it's not done correctly as well. So it's just a badass beer. It's hard to make, and we've made one because we had to, and it was pretty good. But it's just like why do you want to? I don't know. Not a big.
So this is one of those styles that you're kind of like, there are experts at it, and it's best just to let them
Yes,
fuck
exactly.
with that. And
Let
it's
the
just
experts do their expert thing. Stop trying to recreate the wheel. Like there's people with good food. There's a whole bunch of breweries in Cologne that have just fucking mastered this thing. Great, good for you.
Right.
You go do it.
Sometimes you have that though, where it's like, look, these guys are so good at it that
Why recreate
I'm
it?
not going to get into the ring.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
and it's just
I'm
one of
not.
those,
I'm not
like-
walking to the ring with Mike Tyson anytime soon.
right. And it's like, hey, I went to Taibo.
Yeah,
Let me
let me go fight for the belt.
yeah. And it's like, okay, that makes sense. It
Yeah.
makes sense.
So let's try
anyways,
some of
we
these.
have a couple of options here, and this will be cool because we've never done this. We've done it with your beer specifically, where you brought 2 different style stouts, but it wasn't supposed to be a side-by-side comparison. Those were different. They
Types
were
of
literally
stouts.
different styles of beer. So we're going to do some side-by-sides
Yeah.
of 3 different Kolsches.
All Texas.
All Texas made. One of them from a brewery that like only does this area of the world. Like this is all they brew. So it'll be interesting to see.
You want to do all 3 of them together, or do you want to do them one at a time?
We'll do one at a time and see if we have consistency.
Okay, cool.
Because I kind of want to test it again. What you're saying, it's like
Yeah.
it's so hard to do. Well, like, is this one of those things like it's easy to make, it's just hard to make well?
Basically, yes.
Okay.
Yes, the recipe for a Kolsch is very, very easy. Like it's not it's you have a little bit of pale malt, you use some noble hops, you use a Cologne yeast, and Bob's your uncle. You're there.
But if you But is that where I feel like that's where like the artistry comes in, where it's
Yeah.
like the people that are like, yeah, it's 3 things.
But I didn't.
But-
But it's 3 things that can
But
be
you
made
don't know
amazing.
that if you started it on a Thursday and you started
Right.
it with the sun just
Yeah.
outside of its zenith, then you need to hold your tongue to the left while you kick the bottom of the barrel when you're doing this,
Exactly.
and that's how it tastes good. Like,
yeah, it's
and
that
then at
kind of stuff.
3:57 and 56 seconds later.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like that kind of like expertise perfectness. So you're getting a little bit of sweetness to it.
This one has a very familiar taste, and I'm trying to figure out what it is.
I mean, that's a yeast flavor that you're tasting.
it's white bread.
Yeah. White bread crust.
There's a white bread.
It's white, yeah. It's white bread. It's like it, and I mean like Wonder Bread,
Yeah.
like Wonder Bread crust.
Water
But, like,
crackers.
Oh, I can see water crackers, yeah.
but see, there it is on the finish. What you're talking about? That,
It's familiar.
yeah, because it's the aftertaste of a deviled egg.
Yes. I love deviled eggs.
Oh,
I could
yeah,
eat
everyone loves deviled eggs.
50 deviled eggs in one
Has to be a
sitting.
little spicy. I need a little bit of spice in my deviled egg.
Okay. I've never had spicy deviled eggs. But
Yeah, like you have to put like
But
good,
just a little- just-
good hot paprika on it.
Yeah,
Just a little pepper on it for me.
well, it's you got to put paprika on it like you got a little bit of palsy.
Paprika only gives it.
Yeah.
Paprika gives
Yeah,
it
that's
a
100% right.
smoky
Or
flavor.
that's not like a. It's like
It's
a.
like a
Oh shit! It is like. Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
you gotta get the high pour like you're a chef and
Yeah.
like before like
You
Like
put
Salt Bae.
paprika on it like you're asking for cheese at the Olive Garden.
Oh, okay.
Where it's like, how much is enough cheese when your arm gets tired? That's,
yeah, just keep on going.
I'll
That's
tell you
enough
when I'm
cheese.
ready.
Yeah. Can I see the food? Then we haven't hit enough cheese.
It's funny.
It's funny because it's true.
It is true. So yeah.
This one doesn't have a lot of.
It's just not a lot there.
It's just.
The really hard thing about Kolsch's is like the number one thing that you read, if you read about Kolsch's, the word that keeps on coming up is balance. This thing has to be perfectly balanced.
This
it can't
isn't.
be too light. It can't be too heavy.
Yeah.
It can't be too hoppy. It can't be too malty. It is just, it's supposed to be just like
But like that
beautiful
one
in the middle.
That one, in my opinion, just doesn't really have much of anything.
Right. And that's my biggest problem with Kolsch's is that they don't have a lot in them because they aren't made the same
But there's
intense
no
fervor
rules-
that they have been made for 600
Yeah.
years.
But there's no rule saying that it can't be a very flavorful beer. It just has to be a balanced
Balanced
flavor.
beer.
It
Yeah.
can't have one characteristic that runs away.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that it can't be bold. It just needs to be balanced.
It has to be balanced in its
Okay.
flavors. Yeah.
I think a floral Kolsch would be really good.
That's the other thing. This style is so old, you have to follow the rules.
Yeah.
So follow the fucking rules.
Well, this is like pre-purity laws and shit.
Yeah.
Like this is
This is
old.
way-
This is probably one of the reasons there are purity laws.
Yeah.
Is people were fucking around too much, and they were like, "Hey,
Hey, don't put your dick in it.
what are you
Getting
doing?
creative.
Stop it with the raspberries."
No.
I bought my health for 7 raspberries.
No, they the purity laws came on because they were doing some weird ass shit. They were
Yeah.
doing like cow bile. They were doing like
Well, it's the
dirt
same reason
and-
the bottled and bond law came along with bourbon.
yeah,
Is because people were like, I mean, they were literally
making shit up.
Well, they were putting, like from tobacco processing, they were putting tobacco juice into essentially just bullshit liquor to brown it out so that
Yeah,
it would look
yeah.
like bourbon, but it wasn't actually. And like turpentine, like all
Yeah.
sorts of shit was going
That's
in.
dangerous.
Like,
yeah, and that was the same thing that was happening
so they
with
had
beer.
to change the law because they were killing people. There was a thing called a Jake leg that was literally like where you started to lose feeling in your lower extremities, and
Yeah.
it was from people drinking bullshit bourbon.
Or like going blind and shit.
And like going blind, and like that's where that is like it's so strong to make you blind. It's like nope, that
Nope.
would be the diesel. It like
yeah,
that's
don't want that.
you can't. You
I thought you were going to
can't
say that would be the devil.
That'd be the devil coming
That
at
would be
you.
the devil coming
It's the
through.
devil coming at you after your father through you.
All right, so this is Kolsch number 2.
Kolsch part
Geitz
two.
or Zug.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to call too many names out because we're just like
Oh,
shitting all over one.
sorry.
But
This one's actually quite good. This
I
one's
like this
actually
one.
not bad.
I like this one. Because this is
but this one's
Independence.
bolder.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I've
More
had
balanced.
I've had this, and it is balanced and it's bolder.
I
but,
feel like this one's very IPA leaning.
A little more
Are you
hop,
trying to say
hop
it's more
forward.
hop
A little
forward?
hot forward, yeah.
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 I can see that. Yeah.
Um.
I'm also interested to know what yeast they use with this because I don't feel like this is a Cologne Kolsch yeast.
Ooh. Oh. Look at Fucking see.
We'll call Cody and ask.
Yeah, I would love to. I'm like, and it's nothing wrong with that. I'm not calling people out. It's just like I don't know if this is actually.
He's totally calling.
I'll call him out.
Like I don't know, and I could be wrong.
We don't know
wrong.
anybody at this brewery other than the rep, and he doesn't fucking know. He just memorizes the sell sheet they give him.
Like a good sales rep.
I still
should.
think it'd be a funny message. To
You
send
know
him.
our rep.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what goes in this
Get
beer.
off my fucking corner.
It was so awesome.
Did you say that to him?
Oh yeah, so
yeah.
he was. We were at what event, and he was saying like, "Oh, I'd love to bring some tin tackers in, and get maybe a couple more draft handles on them." And I like grabbed him for a second. I looked at him dead in the eye. I was like, "Get off my fucking corner!"
No, I haven't seen him since last year. He hasn't come in.
He was trying to like increase branding in here. And fucking Jim was like, "Get off my corner." And I was like,
Get out of my
Where's
territory.
my tin tacker, Jim?
When I get him, don't worry, you'll be the first.
"There's gonna be one tin tacker."
Yeah, I'll make one
and it's
tin
just
tacker.
a piece of metal that he wrote second pitch
Just
on,
second
and
pitch
just
on it.
brought it in. It just-
So speaking of funny shit,
I would
about,
hang
like-
that.
Okay, I'll make it.
If you
I'll
made
make
me a
it tomorrow.
homemade tin tacker,
I
I
will
would
make it.
100%.
I'm going
hang
to
it
get
in
red
my
and
bar.
black Sharpies and a piece of round
I'd
metal.
100% hang it in my bar.
That'd be
Just
great.
draw the
But I'm gonna
monkey.
make you sign it.
That's really funny.
I guarantee you, we get people ask like, "Oh, we're gonna get one of those. It's dope.
It's one of one.
It's one of
It's
one."
one of
prototype.
collector's item. So we have to do collabs for San Antonio Beer Week, which is coming up.
Oh,
so
okay.
you guys need to get on that.
Yeah, I need to be part of the
What
community.
is that?
It's so the entire week. I forget what week it is, but it's coming up in August, September,
Okay.
October.
Okay.
I think October actually. And it's the entire week and just celebrates San Antonio craft beer. So there's a lot of like the festivals that weekend. There's going to be bottle releases, special. It's like basically our time to celebrate our community. And so, and
Where's
that also
that?
includes, well, it's just all throughout San Antonio.
So
Oh.
there is a
And like different bars, restaurants.
there is
you
a
guys
there
will be
is like a
doing stuff.
1 day
festival.
festival downtown.
Yeah.
But then like that. But then almost every craft beer house and everything through the city will do. They'll pick a couple of breweries they already work with, and they'll do some sort of release or
We have an event every day.
yeah.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we
yeah,
do an
yeah.
event
So we need to
every
do-
single day.
we need to
Something.
figure it out.
Yeah.
Right,
But anyway, one of the things is we have to
Shocker!
do.
I can probably tell you which brewery I would rather have my event with that week, but he's probably all booked out because he's all special and famous and shit now.
I'm not
important.
famous. What are you talking about? Name one brewer that's famous.
Samuel Adams.
Damn it. Name two brewers. Name two brewers that are famous.
Jimmy
Mr.
Jenkins.
Pabst. You son of a bitch.
And he has a blue ribbon.
Oh my god.
Fuck.
Where's your blue ribbon?
He's got gold medals. He don't need no fucking blue ribbon.
He's gonna do that California competition.
I know.
Are you doing it? Are you going to do the blue
I'm
ribbon?
gonna probably
comp?
do it just to get a blue ribbon.
Shit, yes.
That is. I'm gonna send one
Just so
beer.
I can eat my words and
Yeah,
just
to
shut
get
up.
one beer.
He's going to walk in here with it framed and put it on your wall just so
know.
you have to stare at it and be
What are you
like,
talking about
there's
framing it? I will wear it. I will wear it around my neck like a fucking cowbell.
Like the mayor from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah,
Giant
the
mayor
huge ribbon.
thing.
Yeah, yeah. This is mayor. It's like blue ribbon. But so Paige, my quality control manager, which you guys are good friends with, she really wants to do a collab with her fiance. We've never done it because she'd never brewed with Alex.
Aw,
And so we were like, she was like, can we do Freetail, please? And I was like, sure, absolutely. I don't give a shit.
how fun.
And so for
pick
the
a good beer.
what? I'll try.
What?
I'm doing my best I can.
I didn't say anything.
So we were joking about it, and it was like, oh yeah, we should ask Freetail like we were in high school, like we were in middle school. So I took the flyer and with a Sharpie. I wrote that, "Will you be my San Antonio Beer Week collab?" And I put yes, no, maybe as like boxes, and I handed it to him, and I had Paige hand it to him because I couldn't go to the event. And Paige comes back, and I was like, "What'd he say?" And she was like, "He fucking checked maybe." And I was like, "Oh my god." Well, like really? And he was like, "Yeah, they checked maybe." I was like, "God, I'm having flashbacks from middle school. It's fucking horrible."
They did or he did?
He did.
Well, Alex is just a shifter. Who fucking cares?
No. Jason, their boss.
Oh,
his boss.
Jason did. Okay.
His boss. Yeah, no. It wasn't.
That's
it
funny.
wasn't. Yeah, we went to the big boss, and he was like, "No, we want to." And then I called him, and I was like, "What the fuck, bro? Maybe." And he was just
I'm
like, "Yeah, I'm a little offended." He was like, "We want to, but I have to run it through the proper channels."
Do you know who I am?
Yeah. Do you know who I am?
Do you
Yeah,
know
because
who I am?
Freetail's super corporate now. They got bought out
Yeah, they're
by Techco.
yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah. All right, let's look at this beer now.
Okay. I don't like this one.
This,
It's like tangy.
yeah.
It's like barbecue sauce tangy, but like not good like barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
Citrusy. Very citrusy.
Yeah.
Not
And
a
that's
fan of it.
and I think that's one of the biggest problems with this style is that the yeast will be extremely expressive if you aren't controlling of it.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of
Yeah. I've been trying to
But
like
I'm
that.
I'm
I
like
just
we've had
can't.
3 different Kolsch's and they all are vastly different.
Yeah,
They're very different.
If you hadn't told me those were all Kolsch's,
Right.
there's no way I would have told you I just
But then
had
that's
3 of the same
also
style.
a lot of the problem with Kolsch's is that it's kind of a mixed bag when you open up a can.
Yeah.
Like somebody says Kolsch and you're like, I don't know what the fuck this is going to be. If it's
Yeah.
going to be a real Kolsch, it's going to be a real bad Kolsch.
I wonder how much of this is just there's not actually tasting happening of the real deal.
don't think
They're
so.
just
A lot
looking
of
at a
that.
recipe
Yeah, a
and
lot
just
of
going
that.
like, oh, fuck, we could do that.
Yeah, there's a lot of that because also you're not getting the fresh stuff.
Yeah.
From Germany. Like if you went to Germany, you drank it, and you're
There's
like,
also
oh, I get it.
There
I
is
got it.
also that massive difference between American beer and pretty much anything through the EU.
Yeah.
In that the EU just goes, well, we've been doing this
Yeah, forever.
forever, so we just keep doing this. And it's like, well, yeah, but you didn't really like make it your own. And they're like, we don't do
Need to
that. Or like
we made it our own 300 years ago.
or even if there is somebody that's on the younger side by EU standards for a brewery, they're still like, but because you don't fuck around. You just
you don't
there is the tradition, and you do the tradition, and then you do not deviate from the tradition.
And then you invade Poland.
I'd say there's
And then
one.
you get that drunk on Saturday night and you wake up on Monday in Poland and it's fucking weird.
Yeah.
I'd say there's one brewery in Texas that's very European in taste compared to other craft beer bars.
Which one is it?
in Texas? I'd say Altstadt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they only make like 3 beers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
like,
they only make 3 German
But
beers.
if you
And that's
had
it.
like
And they don't-
European beer, it tastes like
yeah.
European
Yeah, they do a
beer.
good job.
Yeah, and
do
they
a good
don't
job.
and they don't fuck around. They're like, we make these 3 beers,
That's it.
And they're really good.
and they're really good, and we just
and
don't.
and our owners and a lot of people travel to Germany regularly
Yeah,
and,
and
that's
make
what we
sure
do.
that we're still good, and that's just what we do. But American breweries, they like to experiment and fuck around and all that kind of stuff, and that's why it's when you start getting into beer and you read about it and all that kind of stuff, and that's kind of the general consensus is that there is no American style beer because everybody's trying to do the next
Individualism. Yeah,
thing.
the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can't build a tradition when you're constantly changing. And so even our big old breweries, they borrowed that style from somebody else and then figured out, hey, if we just put a bunch of water in it, then
Well, there was
we have a whole lot of it.
There was a traditional American beer, and it's sadly just gone now. Anchor Steam.
Yeah.
Anchor Steam's shutting down. Did you see that?
That's really sad.
I don't even know what that is.
Well, but
Anchor Steam made this California
they
Steam.
are the definition of what a steam beer is.
My
they,
hometown lager is that beer.
They had made a style that was then a globally recognized style
That
of beer.
originated
Are you
in
saying
America.
Steam beer?
Steam beer or California Common.
As in, like, when water gets hot, it turns into...
Steam.
Steam.
Okay.
There you go. And it's a globally recognized style. And now the company that literally invented it
It's going out of business.
is going out of business.
That's sad.
It's closing their doors.
Why?
Money.
And part of it is also the problem with the craft beer scene
Yeah.
in the U.S. because the craft beer scene in the U.S. is the constant what's next?
Yeah.
What's the new thing? And that's the constant fight. And I'm sure Jim could vouch for it,
Yeah.
where it's like you have your core that's now in grocery stores and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But everybody that walks into your tap room, everybody that's
do you
dealing
got
with
new?
you that's a bar, and it's like, hey, what's the next thing? What's your seasonal? What's your this? What's your that? What's your limited? You only need 4 bottles of this?
No, I want
Can
3
I,
of them.
Can I get them all? Can I? And it's like, God, like, and that's why, like for here, like hometown is always on draft here.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
And because it never changes. There isn't,
Yeah.
oh, well, that's the spring hometown versus the fall hometown, or that's the hometown with donut. And it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
nope, it's just
This is it.
this is it, and it's fucking good. And people can give me 10 other beers that they drink regularly, and I'm like, okay, I got you. Like we're gonna go right here. Well, I only drink Shiner. Cool, drink this.
Yeah.
Like, well, I only drink this.
and-
I only drink that, and it's like, okay, here. Try
I'm like,
thi-
there is a market for that like getting into that like subconscious kind of this is what I drink. And
Yeah.
we've done pretty well with
But
that.
I don't think you really see that honestly in anybody until everybody gets a little older.
that's
I'm
the
that way with
problem.
in the craft beer scene is dominated by like mid-20s, and it's that whole like,
Yeah.
well, I'm not going to a kegger, but I will go down here and I'm gonna do 4 flights to try their whole menu. And it's like, dude, you can't taste shit past the 3rd one.
Exactly.
You've obliterated your palate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like when I would go to breweries now, I just drink a whole. I figure out what I want. I just drink a whole beer of it because I'm just like, no, like I stake my flag. This is what we're doing right now.
I have had a flight at your bar one time, and it was right after we met.
Yeah.
And we were trying to figure out what we wanted to carry in here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we went down there and we got 2 flights from you, and it was specifically for the purposes of what do we want to carry. It
Right.
was not well, I'm here to sample you. And it's like, no,
Sample your wares.
No, it was let's figure out what we want to carry.
Yeah.
And I've never done it since. It's always just been,
Yeah. It's just what
I
it
want
is.
this. Or I tell you just to serve me whatever you think is
Good.
what you're proud
Yeah.
of right now.
Yeah.
And
that's a good way to do it too. Is I always do that whenever I go to bartenders or something like that, like a good place. I look at the bartenders like, what are you drinking right now?
yeah.
Like, what are you crushing on? And they'll be like, I really like this. It's like, I'll take one.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I want because they're gonna know.
And I bet it all changes when you get older. Like I can
Yeah.
go to any bar now and I'm just like Jameson on the rocks.
Yeah. Right. Whiskey.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay. And it's like,
And
there you
it's
go.
gonna be the same. Yeah.
So anywho,
Yeah. So anyway, we're fucking old.
there's
End of that story is that we don't like change and we're fucking old.
well, you don't find it till you're older. All that's when you're younger is just you trying to find what you like.
Yeah.
And then once you do, it's
You
kind of
go
like,
from-
yep, okay.
You go from going to your first bar and being like, Jack and Coke.
You know, everybody tells you like that. You got to get out of your comfort zone. It's like, why?
I like it. It's comfortable.
It's literally called the comfort zone.
yeah,
Like,
I love it. Big fan of it.
why would I want to be out in the pain box? Fuck that. Like, I don't.
I remember in college I got a rum and Coke, or whatever you just said,
Oh, Jack and Coke.
Jack and Coke.
Yeah.
Blah.
I didn't finish it. It was gross.
Yeah, it's just spicy sugar.
Yeah. Basically, it's disgusting.
I don't.
Yeah, I think my first drink at a bar was a gin and tonic. It was like gin and tonic.
It's fancy though.
People like looked at me like,
Damn.
what
Did
the
you heard
fuck?
somebody say it once?
Yeah, like
Is
that's
it
just
like,
like,
how
I was
old are you?
just like, I don't know. Apparently, I just became a middle-aged English man.
You're not grizzled enough to
Yeah,
drink
right.
gin and tonic.
And I drank it, and I was just terrible. But I don't think anything else is gonna get better.
like gin and tonic.
I love gin and tonics
with like
now.
a little bit of lemon squeezed into it.
Yeah, gin and tonics are great. In college, I used to drink Guinness and gin because nobody would steal my booze.
Yeah.
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 So I could put it down anywhere I wanted,
Yep.
and that bottle will be the exact same spot.
No one's drinking it.
No one's drinking gin.
Out of all 3 of these, what would you say is your most favorites?
I don't want to call anyone out by
You just
name.
do 1, 2, 3.
I would say 2.
I'd say 2, 2.
Yeah, 2, 2, 2.
2, 2, 2.
Jazz, what was your favorite?
Number 2.
Out of what we just had,
Yeah.
the second one, the
Yeah, I would be interested in how they make that though.
it's the best tasting. I'm not gonna lie, I've never drank Kolsch in the Cologne district of Germany, so I don't know how it
Right.
compares. But
Don't know what it's supposed to taste like.
out of these, that's one that and I've had it before and I've liked it, and I will probably drink it again. But
Maybe that's what we do for our 40th birthday. You want to go to Germany? Get fucked up?
Yes.
I would not be mad at that.
Just that whole, let's drink across Germany.
First of all, I was totally in for Sweden
Oh, you told him.
as
her
long
about
as I
Sweden?
got to go.
Yeah.
That wasn't
Down.
part of the discussion. Like it
But
was,
I assumed I was just coming along.
Yeah, you're just getting in the luggage.
Yeah.
just coming to.
Get out. I'm like,
anyways,
Mhm.
that's a totally different discussion.
Right.
okay, sorry.
Now we're supposed to talk about gaming
Warhammer.
at some level, mostly a wave top
top
level.
level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about I don't know if we're gonna talk about it, but I would
I'm
like to
gonna
talk
talk about
about one of my favorite things in the Warhammer universe.
Servitors?
It, little
Cherubs.
specifically the cherubs. No,
Squigs.
I also do love squigs, but
Like how we're just naming things.
Nurglings.
I have a spice jar full of nerdlings.
I know you do.
No,
I'm gonna bring 30,000 Gretchens on an apocalypse.
this is my 30,000 points. No, I want to talk about the god machines.
Yeah.
And we won't even get into the huge ones, but I do want to talk about knights.
Knights are fun.
Um,
Knights are fun. Knights are a pain in the dick to play against. But they're
so
fun.
for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, knights are giant walking robots. So
Like Gundams.
they're like Gundams, or they're like
they're like beetle Gundams. Look like beetles.
yeah. So
They're
they're big. They have pauldrons and a big face and all this stuff, but they are bipedal walking
Pacific Rim.
fortresses. Yeah, Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
Gundam, all that giant walking robot.
Mhm.
Huge guns, the ability to level cities,
Chain
like
swords, guns.
giant chain swords, like they're ridiculous.
Fetishes.
So to give you an idea of scale, we've talked a lot about Space Marines and where they were around. A Space Marine is about 2.5 meters tall.
What is that in
there.
like real measurements?
What is that in freedom units?
Yeah, in
it's about
freedom
8
units.
feet.
8 feet, 7.5 to 8 feet tall.
Yeah, somewhere in there. But Games Workshop is a British company, so they use meters. What the fuck is a meter?
Get your meters out here. We look at inches.
I've been growing meters in my garden all
Like
year.
a toe meter? Like what do it?
Toe meter?
Like McQueen's friend, toe meter. There, the cable guy. He's funny.
He's like that guy. That's a good old dude right there. I'm telling you right now. Sounds just like me. He doesn't in real life, and he's from like
Connecticut?
he's from like somewhere up north, like up
He's a
He's a
north.
vegan.
He is.
God, no wonder he doesn't shut the fuck up.
Good for him.
Yeah, like, that is
So-
that labor cable guy is all an act.
Yeah,
I
no,
love
it's
it.
what
All
I
of them are
respect
an
the
act.
hell.
he's actually done like actual interviews where he drops the voice and all that. There was a radio personality. It was a radio character he had come up with.
Really?
Yeah, that's where
Oh,
it
that's
came
funny.
From. Yeah.
And Bill
I respect
Engvall
that.
is from close to Georgetown, Texas.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, but he's actually a Texas boy. Foxworthy
He's a
is actually from Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Ron
is actually from Texas too.
Yeah, like they're actually from the South, and then
You have Larry the Cable Guy, who's from like Vermont.
Yeah.
It's,
I'm going to look it up. I'm curious.
anywho, knights. So
No,
they
we're
come in-
talking about Larry the Cable Guy now.
now we're just
Now we're just
Larry
on the
Cable
cable guy.
Nebraska. Pawnee City, Nebraska.
Okay, that's might as well be the North.
It's still the North. What are you talking about? It's
Might
so
as
North.
well be the North.
The Midwest is nobody cares.
Yeah, it's all flyover
Yeah.
states.
I'm from Nebraska. I'm from
Iowa.
If you are from a single Dakota, you don't count as anything.
Yeah,
Missouri.
you went there to run away from something. You have a warrant in another state.
Yeah, like I don't. Nobody's ever been like, I'm from Iowa, and it's like, oh shit, tell me stories, and it's like, well,
Tell me about the corn.
there's a lot of nothing.
There's a lot of, let me scooch right by you.
Yeah,
Oops, excuse me there.
Oops,
Yeah.
excuse me
Oh.
there.
Yeah, you want a hot plate?
from Wisconsin, so southern Canada. Got it. You're not from
Minnesota's
here.
nice though.
For like 4 days, Minnesota is very pretty, and then it goes right back to why the fuck does anybody live here?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So,
All right. Anyway, Knights.
anyways,
Sorry.
knights, and they come in
Minnesota Knights.
They come in flavors,
Right.
From pretty big to what the fuck, like, because I think
Just like, huh?
29
I
to
think that-
39 feet tall.
yeah, the tiny one is like 9 meters.
Yeah, it's 29 feet.
He's like, yeah, which is 29 feet,
Google told me earlier.
and then they get to like 40 feet
feet
tall,
Yeah.
something like that, and those are just standard knights. Now, they very much borrowed this from kind of like the chivalric era of combat. So knights are arranged into houses.
Mm-hmm.
And the houses all go back like millennia and millennia and millennia. And so if you belong to one of the knight houses,
Mm-hmm.
you have the different like rank structures in that. So like
barons and
Right,
knights and
but
squires and
the highest rank that you can achieve is to be a pilot, like to where you drive the knight.
yeah.
And it's a link, so it's a neural link that goes in, so you feel what the knight feels, and you can think it through in the whole 9 yards. And the guy that runs it, if I'm not mistaken, is actually referred to as a precepts, and that's actually his title.
I believe so. Yeah.
So you're not a pilot; you're a precept.
That's definitely for Titans. It's a precept.
Well, I think it's for anything above the War Dogs,
Okay.
because the War Dogs are the only solo crew.
No, Knights are solo.
I don't think they are. Don't the Knights have an? The War Dogs are single.
No,
or
no,
a
single pilot.
human that's in it. But a Knight, I believe, has the pilot, and then I believe he has a weapons guy.
No, I thought a Knight is like a single guy. That's a big differentiation.
Because I know War Dogs are single. Like you're just odd. It's odd dude that's in the War Dog that's piloting.
War Dog,
or otherwise known as an armiger. And then
War Dog.
War Dog.
Yeah.
But I thought the Knights had a weapons guy. They might be single too.
Yeah.
Well, he's not a co-pilot. He's just like a weapons systems.
So is he? He's like the goose to the Maverick.
Kind of, yeah. He's like essentially like he runs.
He's the goose.
The auxiliary, and the other guy's the guy that actually like makes the combat calls and like moves it around. And then you have the dude that's like, because they talk about it a lot in the books. And he's like, my precepts, we have them at 900 meters to the north or whatever. And they do refer to them like that. That is my precepts, like my lord. Like it is all a formality of rank.
Chivalry.
Got it.
Okay.
Each knight is piloted by a single human warrior drawn from an ancient feudal aristocratic culture that stretches across the galaxy.
So single guy.
Single guy.
Okay, so even the knights, like
so that single guy is neuralinked in and controlling everything. You probably have a crew on board to help.
So the
stuff.
Right, I know they're piloted by one dude.
Yeah.
Like one dude is actually in charge of the knight, but I think in like the Questoris pattern and the Dominus pattern, there's like additional little dudes that
I imagine that makes sense because there's people like inside there cleaning stuff up,
Right, and typically like in the Questoris and the Dominus, I think it's one other guy that is like he's like the goose to the Maverick. He's Talk to me, Goose. He makes sure that the weapon systems are all running and all that kind of stuff. He's not linked in. He's just reading readouts and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, then we might be right. We're gonna go with that.
So
Wave top.
So it goes Armiger, which is the little guy, which is also known as a war dog on the Chaos side. So because some of the houses went dark during the heresy, so you have Chaos infested ones. But that's an Armiger, and then they come in two flavors essentially. You have a melee version that they have like chain swords and claws and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then you have the shooty versions that have like chain guns and plasma weapons and all that kind of stuff. And then you go to the Questoris pattern.
Okay.
Which are the ones that are most commonly seen in gameplay and the most prevalent and well-known. And those are the House Knights, the House Questoris Knights.
Okay.
And those come in 6 different patterns. And they're all called like the Knight Valiant.
Yeah,
and
Knight Errant.
Knight Errant, the Canis Rex, all that kind of stuff. And then you have the Dominus pattern, which is a little bit bigger, and they have more weapon loadouts.
Right.
But all of them technically aren't property of the Imperium.
Yeah, they're all
They
whole different.
belong to the houses that run them, and they're referred to as god machines. So in 40K, they don't make them anymore. All of them are relics. Like they are all pieces of history, and they are viewed as such, like as a holy relic of. And the only ones that maintain them are the people off Mars. So it's just the Mechanicum that knows anything about how to kind of work on them. But the Mechanicum also aren't really allowed to fuck with them because the houses have the crews
that actually know
that maintain.
Yeah. And then I know that houses can go in two separate, at least in Imperium, can go in two separate directions. You can be either more closely aligned to the Imperium of Man, or you can be more closely aligned to the Adeptus Mechanicus.
Right, the Mechanicum itself, which is the more the Omnissiah thing.
Yeah.
Where you actually
have, like,
believe
that
that these god machines they are a quintessential expression of the Omnissiah. The whole this all-knowing machine that runs these things.
Right.
But they're cool, and they do not get deployed all the time. Like they are only grabbed when it's like
And it's also fun
hey,
to
some
learn.
shits hit the fan.
Yeah,
and
it's also fun to learn about the different types of houses, and like they're kind of also heraldry because you have like a lot of these different houses. Like you have House Hawksworn is one of my favorite ones because they're all about being like you did a solid for me, I have to do a solid for you.
right, they still hold that old school chivalry thing where it's like, nope, I have to balance the scales.
Yeah, I have to. I owe you, kind of thing.
Right.
And that's always fun.
Well, I just finished the 3rd book of the Horus Heresy. I don't know if this connects in any way, but the Dies Irae,
Deus.
was manned by that guy. What's his name?
Little dickhead.
That fucking guy.
Yeah.
Morderati Kassar. Kassar was a firm believer of the
Omnicide.
Mortitishu. Hold on, I'm getting there.
This is good.
Lectitio Divinitatis.
Oh, the Lectitio. So the Lectitio Divinitatis is that
The god.
the emperor
is
a god.
Yeah.
Now, here's the deal: is that so now he is a Titan pilot. So he pilots a Warlord Titan, and those are incredibly rare. And those things are
much bigger,
and they're planet killers. Like those things are, like they're massive machines, and they have full crews. So like he's the pilot, but there's like it's almost a tiny city in there of people running around.
Well, I was gonna say if he's the pilot, if Kassar is the pilot of the Warlord Titan, Deus Irae, and the entire crew, like Princeps Turnip and Arukin, go to the War Master, and I don't know what happens yet, but essentially they're trying to take his family heirloom from him.
Right. So essentially, they're trying to get him labeled as a heretic because he believes that the Emperor is a god.
But that's his rightful Titan, though.
It's his Titan, and he's the only one that can pilot it.
Right.
Well, until he dies, and then somebody else can take the seat.
Right, because Arukin really wants to pilot it.
But by getting him labeled a heretic, and that is currently in the service of Horus, then they could go, hey, he's loyal to the Emperor. The only reason he hasn't left is he's not going to leave he's not leaving his machine behind.
Right.
And so they're trying to get him removed so they can take the war machine. So, it's a little weird, and it does happen. That's how the Chaos Knights all end up with new pilots. Is that the machine gets infested, not the pilot.
Yeah, and a lot of times some of these machines become sentient too, and kind of can do their own thing.
Yeah, so Chaos has a way of essentially putting a corrupted machine spirit into a knight, and then that knight becomes corrupted, and so then they just slam a body in there, because it needs something plugged in.
So
and
it's like the bourgeoisie during the French Revolution.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Do you want to explain that? Because I don't,
Well, the bourgeoisie is like the normal people, like the sans culottes. They didn't wear like leggings, so they weren't like fancy people. They were like the middle class.
Right.
And they overthrew all the nobles and took
They
their
named
property.
an entire class no pants.
No, like pantyhose, like leggings.
No pants.
Yeah,
No pants.
The sans culottes.
Because sans just means no.
It's the bourgeoisie.
Just non. Like you just don't have it.
You know what?
You don't wear
I don't believe in the
pantyhose.
nobles. Look at my dick.
You don't wear pantyhose.
Oh, what am I part of? The no pants party.
No pants party. And everybody's invited.
Sorry. I'm a huge French history
Frenchophile?
person, so
Francophile?
that I can see the similarities between like feudal Europe and the bourgeoisie class taking over.
Yeah.
With
I'm like, well, that's
30K.
So, well, this would be more.
But you got the heretics, who are just bad guys, but they could also be.
But then the
considered
other
bourgeoisie.
side with these ginormous god machines is that you, especially with the knights, you're inherited it from your fathers, and a little piece of them are also left with the knights.
Yeah, so and that's what they refer to as like the machine spirit and all that kind of stuff. But it's essentially because it's a neural link that you get jacked into this thing, so that because you can think faster than you can, and it's too complex.
Yeah.
That turns into there's a memory that kind of gets left behind.
Yeah.
As the pilots change,
Right.
And so there's a little bit of.
But and then I was reading something about like when the Chaos Knights like went to Chaos, and they like chose Chaos. Like they all kind of went. All the knights, the pilots, the precepts went insane because their great grandfathers were like, "What the fuck are you doing?
Right,
You
and
can't do this."
there was too many voices.
Too many
and
voices,
It
and
causes the fracture.
Yeah, it causes this fracture, and they go insane, and then it.
If
like,
I'm
kinda
not
makes
mistaken,
it-
too, with the Chaos Knights, the precepts can never leave the machine.
I believe that. Yeah,
Like they're
this is it.
they're permanently fused to it. Like they
I know there's a lot of that going on in Chaos. So when it comes,
well,
to,
they can't ever like get out of the cockpit. Like they're.
like this is.
I don't
you.
mean like they can't leave the machine as in like, oh, I'm gonna retire. I mean like they physically can never get
out of the machine. Like there's no difference between them and the machine.
Yeah, they are quite literally just the battery necessary to
ghost in the
make this
machine?
thing. Yep. Ooh.
Ooh.
Deus ex machina.
Mm-hmm. God from the machine.
Boom.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. No, but
So-
I'm like the knights are super super cool, and also they can be done really cool on tabletop too.
Yeah. So I have a
And
night
they're
army.
just, and they're just beautiful. They can be. It's a huge canvas, and you can make some beautiful pieces.
You
of
really
work.
can. I'm very proud of mine. I didn't do any of the like big shoulder work with all the murals and all that kind of stuff, but I do like my knights.
They're good knights.
On the tabletop. They're a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in this new edition, they're pretty ridiculous in 10th edition. I like them because they made them legitimately scary. Like
Yeah.
in the previous edition, they were okay.
Yeah, yeah.
They did not win very much. Like which didn't make any sense to me that I was bringing this.
Like God Machine.
I was
and
bringing
you're
this
just getting
list
romped.
of just absolute. Narratively are supposed to be these almost invincible machines of war.
Yeah.
and
you.
I was
just-
getting taken out by like dudes with rifles. And it was like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Like,
this isn't supposed to happen.
this doesn't compute. But they're a lot of fun. They're legitimately scary now. The models are gorgeous.
I would love to have like more books and lore about knights.
There's a bunch of them actually. It's
Really?
just that
They had a new one for the Dominus Crusade, like the
Yeah,
Arcs
yeah,
of-
yeah.
The
There was
Indominus
another-
book.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I heard bad things about that book though.
it wasn't great.
It wasn't great.
It wasn't great. But the knights they're a lot of fun to play. The models are great. A lot of people that play at some point will buy a knight just to have one. Like they just want the mini. Like
Yeah.
they just want the model of it.
And you can bring it onto your table with you.
And now
You can
it's
bring it on.
far easier to bring it on as an addition to your
Yeah.
list and run as just an Imperium add-on or a Chaos add-on.
Because that's also in the lore. That's what knights do. Is that they kind of
Well,
are.
The funny thing is they very rarely ran as like a pack.
Yeah.
Like it was like I play a knight list that's like 3 big knights and 4 little ones, and it
Yeah.
actually doesn't. They very rarely deployed
No,
in these.
unless it's
Like
like, a
housewife-
major skirmish.
The little ones, the war dogs or the armigers, they did because they were essentially 27 feet was too small to run around by itself. So it always had a friend or a couple of friends with it.
Yeah.
Did you run it as like your warlord?
Yes, I do. What the armiger or the knight?
The knight.
The knight, yes.
Like if you were building a list now in 10th edition, could you have that as your warlord and then all your troops underneath it?
I'd have to double check that because I know you can take them as an attachment, like as a detachment. So you can either take a free blade or a. I can't remember the name of the chaos one, but you can add them on. But I don't know if you can. I think you'd have to do it in reverse. So I think you'd have to be running a knight list, and then you'd have to like attach
Yeah.
a bunch of Marines to it or something
Gotcha.
like that.
Yeah.
But like in my list, my knight takes the warlord title. Like that's how you run it. And so, but yeah, you can add them on. So like your Space Wolf army,
Yeah.
you could have a loyal knight that just
And they're
hung out. And
already the Space
and-
Wolves are really, really close to House Hawksworn.
Yeah.
They are like
And-
one in the say.
And canonically,
they've been
it
using
makes sense where it's like, hey, we're going into this thing and we need big armor support.
Yeah.
So
So remember that time. Then it's the Hawksworn, and they're very much about like tipping the scales. And what happened was like their planet was under attack, and since they are very big into the whole like you have to tip scales, they didn't have a lot of people there. at that time. So they didn't have a lot of knights to defend their thing. And they sent out this like, oh shit, this big thing's coming. Like I think it was like a chaos army or something like to try to take over. And like we need help, and the Space Wolves came to help. Like
Nice.
like almost the entire like chapter like came to help this thing. And then now the Night Hawksworn was like, whenever you need us, we're there.
I want to get a knight and paint it like Barbie colors or like glitter, just
I
so
love
it
it. You
piss
should
people
do it.
off.
You should do
Just
a
to irk
Slanesh
them.
one. A
No,
Slanesh
I
knight.
don't play Slanesh anymore.
Wait, that you can still. I mean, you play Chaos.
I play
could-
Black Legion.
They got him. They can bring a Slaneshi
Yeah, but like,
knight.
no, they can't.
Yeah, they can.
That's Emperor's Children.
No. They knights are not sworn to a specific legion. They can go wherever they fuck they
That's
want.
how I play, though.
What?
That's how I play. I don't like mixing the Chaos
Yeah, you don't like
Legions
'em.
with.
Okay.
It's not canonically correct. It's not canon.
No, it is canon. That's what I'm saying. It
Not
is
with
canon.
Black Legion and Slanesh. I'd have to be playing EC if I wanted a Slanesh dog or knight.
Knight.
That's
I
actually
guess.
not true.
I know,
See,
but that's
that's
just
what I
how I
just said.
play.
Oh, I was gonna say.
That's just
That's
how I
what I was
play.
arguing.
And
Yeah.
actually, canonically, there are knights that belong to
Slanesh.
specific gods. Like you can have like a booger knight or
Yeah,
So-
the booger knights look nice.
Okay, so I have
Yeah,
a
they
question
good.
because I'm really invested in this Warlord Titan
Yeah.
and
the Deus Adi.
the Deus Ere,
You
as the
know,
British say.
it's not gonna go well for you.
does at least book 4 and 5, because they're chronologically in the right era, do they talk about what happens? Because they didn't in the third book, they didn't talk about what happens with this Warlord Titan. They're just like in the standoff. Because I had to re-listen to that last chapter, that last 10
I think
minutes.
the Deus gets talked about
Over
during
and over.
Istvan 5.
Yeah.
Because I think they pick it up
They'd kill him.
and they pick it up and they move it to Istvan 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But there's still on Isfahan 3 when
Yeah.
the bombardment happens.
That's not going to hurt that knight.
Yeah, that thing's a badass.
Well, yeah,
It's not going to
badass
hurt
thing.
that warlord. It's fine.
So the chaos, the bad guy, the heretics, not really bad guys, but they take it. The bourgeoisie take it.
Pants guys.
It goes where the pilot says it goes.
Yeah, but the pilot is completely into the emperor being a god.
So remind me of what's going on with the Deus Ere. It's like he's sworn to the War Master, but he still believes the Emperor's the god. Because his whole crew went
his
heretic.
crew, he didn't know this happened, but his crew made a deal with Horus.
Yeah.
Because Horus needs the Warlord Titans and just the Imperium in general. He needs all the knights and stuff on his side to take over Terra.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So his precepts and Arukin and stuff, and everyone's in on this, but the actual pilot doesn't know what's happening, and they start to turn on him on Isfahan 3. And so he's in this gun standoff with the precepts and Arukin, and they literally all have their guns out and are just Spider-Manning it in a way.
Nice.
And it doesn't really explain what actually happens to, I think it's Cassius is his name. They don't explain what happens because they're just I think it's either a gun goes off or they're just still standing there pointing, and then it cuts to Loken and little Horus and Abaddon and their fight to finish out the story, but you don't know what happens on the Deus Irae.
Jesus. Okay.
So that's why I was does the story continue? At least does it tell you the story of what happens with this Warlord Titan?
And the Deus Ares are the Deus Ares I'm thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That one.
Mm-hmm.
Which is part of the something
Yeah.
faction?
Just the Yeah.
It's that one.
It doesn't end well.
Part of the Legio Mortis Legion? The
Yeah.
Death's Head Legion?
Yeah. So the Legio Mortis.
Is the big baddies.
Yeah.
But I don't want to read the rest of this wiki, but the books will tell me what's happening.
You will know what happens to that warlord.
Okay.
Yeah. Womp womp.
Yes, you do find out what happens to that warlord. And to give you an idea of the scale of what we're talking about, warlords are so big that you can see them from miles off.
They're so big you can see them before the curvature. They come up through the curvature of the earth.
yeah, they're
Kind of thing. Like
absolutely massive machines.
Yeah. So like, oh shit, that guy's coming, and you don't see like the top of his head.
Yeah,
And then you
like
start seeing more. Yeah.
like when they deploy it.
They're 108 feet tall.
Yeah, so they're moving.
But
So-
the scales are always, I seem so wrong on like when it gets
Well,
to
and when
that
they
one.
describe them in the books and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So, but like I think it's something like if they deploy it, once it makes planetfall, it takes something like 3 days
Yeah.
to get it ready to be picked up. It's
Yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a Rammstein concert.
yeah, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. So yeah, they're huge machines.
Yeah.
And
And that would be fucking cool.
and the Deus Ex isn't even like one of the big ones.
Yeah, they have the Emperor class.
He seems like the main
Well,
character.
Yeah,
though.
I mean, there's the Imperator class, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
which it literally has
There's a
like
cathedral on
it
its
has like
back.
Notre Dame on its head.
Yeah.
It's
It's stupid
No,
big.
it's Dies. Dies.
Dies Irae.
Like dies. Dies
Dies.
Irae. It's hard to tell how they pronounce it because it's all British.
Fucking Brits.
Um,
They're extra letters.
but I think that one's as weird as it sounds. That one's just a Warlord Titan.
Yeah. And then there's a class bigger that are
There's two classes bigger
Yeah,
than
which
that
are
one.
extremely rare.
Yeah. Well, I think the Imperator there's only been like 2 or something
Yeah.
like that. Like
Yeah.
they're incredibly rare.
Yeah.
But they're cool, and they are. They can be like the warlords and up. I think can be deployed to like quell an entire planet. Like they're
Yeah.
because it's something like one of the weapon systems on a warlord can level a city,
Mm.
like with one shot. Like the whole city's just gone.
Just gone. Yeah. The not the Vulcan can, like the
It's their plasma decimator or
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
The Dies Irae is 130 feet tall. So he's
130 feet.
bigger than other Warlord Titans.
Yeah, he's big.
He's a big boy.
He's how big.
He's a top. He's
So
a top
essentially, they're
notcher.
trying to take away his family heirloom.
That's a 13-story building.
Is that
that's-
how big that is?
Walking around.
Is that
Just-
the Empire State Building? Is
No,
It's
No.
no, it's bigger.
that's
than
like 130 stories.
Oh.
No, Empire State's 80-something stories. I can't remember.
I don't know. We're getting slight confirmation from our producer, Steely Pants.
Steely
Steely Pants
Funny
is
boy.
doing something.
Steely Pants
Well,
says,
that makes it more. That makes the 30K story make more sense on why Homeboy wants to pilot a Titan or just a knight
'Cause
in
it's-
general
it's-
because he's not part of that family.
yeah,
It's promised
Well-
to Cassius.
Yeah.
Right, but if you
If you
if
kill
you're
the
linked
pilot,
to the knight,
yeah,
then you could essentially make your own house.
yeah.
So, but it
and then there's our knights that just like peace out. I'm not a part of this house anymore, which become
are
free
the
blades.
renegade knights and
Yeah,
the free blade
blades,
knights.
and
So-
they just deuce.
I don't know if you guys know this, but then like is the Warlord Titans are obviously the biggest, so they're
No.
most important.
they're not.
houses.
They're not.
There's not.
They're the third
They're
biggest.
the third.
Who's the biggest?
So there's the Warlord Titan, there's
Emperor class Titan.
and the Imperator class.
Yeah.
I think are the
Which
three.
The Dies
And
Irae is
then-
Imperator class.
and then there's the Mars pattern warlords, which are even bigger.
Yeah.
So are the bigger the Titan, the more important the family?
The bigger the Titan, the more money was spent.
But if it's a
But yeah, no,
family
it's
heirloom,
like it's a family heirloom. It's like a big important thing.
Yeah,
you
but
only bring it out for Christmas and Easter.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You bring out the
So
good
like
china.
the war dogs are like, yeah, you're kind of important, but you're not as
so
important as like the Imperator class.
But
Yeah.
so you're getting it twisted that one knight makes that's a house, and they just have that one, and that's not the case.
So
So
I was
like
thinking like family.
right, but a house
or kingdom.
or view a house as like a kingdom.
Gotcha.
They would have several,
Yeah,
Okay.
And they would have them-
25 knights.
and they would have them in different sizes depending on what they need to do with
So the
them.
Legio more.
The Legio Mortis is actually
Mortis.
huge, and they've got everything from
Yeah,
armigers, the little guys, all the way up to
to that.
The
to
big,
that.
big boys.
They're
To the big-
they're big boys.
Yeah,
Typically, the older the house, the bigger the knight that they will end up having, because they take so long to produce.
Mm.
So the older the house is, the bigger you'll have the knights get.
Gotcha.
yeah.
So it's not really, you don't really have it based on importance. You have it based on the age of your
It's interesting.
house.
Yeah, but it's like with anything else in 40K, it's based on
By the way, they also get lost in battle.
yeah.
So think of it like if two knights get into a fight and one knight beats the other and kills the pilot, and so they bring somebody out and just take your fucking knight, that's that house's knight now.
Yeah,
like
it's ours.
Mine. Yeah.
Mine.
If it's a narrow link, though, would the
Because
knight
you
hold
can
memories?
if you kill the knight while it's in the seat,
yeah,
the knight the machine now knows the pilot's dead.
right.
Yeah.
So it just shuts down.
It's kind of like a horse.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's a little bit like
kinda like a
if we
horse.
got into a joust and I
Yeah.
knocked you off your horse and now I come and take your horse, the horse may try to buck me for a little bit, but I'm gonna break it, and now it's my horse.
It's really interesting.
It's
Yeah.
very much the same way.
But then also with like the older houses and stuff and the older legios, like everything in 40K when you get to this level, it's not about money, it's about clout.
Yeah.
It's 100% about like when you get into like the Mechanicus, you get to the Astartes, you get to houses, you get to the legios. It's all about not so much currency that they have. It's just like what they can do and how important they are,
Yeah.
and how much respect they get.
Okay.
Yeah, I
And
mean, like
that's all that
influence.
matters.
It's all
Influence.
influence.
It's
Like,
all influence.
Space Marines don't get paid.
Yeah.
Everything's provided for them, but they don't get paid.
Right.
So, but all Space Marines are made the exact same way. But if a Space Marine gets promoted to sergeant or is made a line officer or becomes like a first captain, they're going to do whatever the fuck they want to, and there's nobody to tell them otherwise. They don't have any more money. They just have that level of authority, and it's the same way with the houses. So it's just clout is everything.
And it's the same thing with like, just to go back to the Adeptus Astartes, first legions have more clout than a second or third legion, or a first founding would have more clout than a second or third founding, or even a 20th founding.
It's
Who is
actually-
the first founding.
It's Space
So,
Wolves, Ultramarines,
First
Blood Angels.
founding
Yeah.
is the original legions. So the original 20 legions.
19, 18.
There was 20. We just don't
20.
talk about two of them.
Sorry.
The two
So-
disappeared.
We don't talk about two.
And but then you have the first, so they're like, and then you have the first batches of those Marines before Marines that were then made to refill. That's the first founding. And then you have the chapters, and you have the first founding of the chapters, and those are more respected than second and third founding chapters. Essentially,
So-
everything in 40K, the older it is, the more important it is.
So the Lunar Wolves would have more influence if they were still around versus the Sons of Horus or the Black Legion.
Yeah, even though they're
Yeah.
the 16th Legion.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they've
they're
been around
but they're
so much
first.
longer.
They would be first founding.
Yeah.
And they were they did the most compliances, and they did
Yeah,
all this
they're
kind
the
of
most.
stuff.
Yeah. So it's all. Everything is about your laurels. It is not about how much money you have.
Yeah. And like if for example, like if let's say, House Broom and House Hanson,
Atreides.
yeah. Or I was just saying for us, yeah, House Atreides, throw him in too. Like we're going to Mars and we're like, hey, we got a guy that needs fixing.
Yeah.
One of our Titans need fixing. And House Broom has been like around for a lot longer. Mars is gonna be like, you're gonna have to fucking wait your turn, bro.
Yeah.
You got this one first.
Okay, that makes sense.
And it's wild how that rank structure actually works. So like, there's a story about two guardsmen, like literally Imperial guardsmen, that on a planet that was lost during the Age of Darkness. So when the Age of Strife,
Yeah.
when the humanity gets disconnected, and they go and bring another planet into compliance, and they're looking around and they find two files and they're STCs, and it's one of them's for a knife. So it's an STC is a pattern. It's a schematic for how to make it. One's for a combat knife, and the other one is for a piece of armor or something, like a chest plate or something.
like a flak armor.
And they find it, and they are able to deliver it back to the Mechanicum. Their reward was a fucking planet. They were each given a planet. They retired and got a planet, like because they were able to recover lost knowledge. So that accomplishment gave them a planet. It was
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? So that's how important just doing cool shit is
Yeah.
in the Warhammer universe.
Yeah, they'll just give you stuff.
Middle management.
Yep, you're just middle management now.
Man your own planet.
Yeah. But you know who was really, really good at middle management?
Russ.
because he was always right.
There it is.
Ah, I got my own in.
Go check out Second Pitch Beer Company on all the social medias.
And BattlePub on all the other socials.
Yeah,
Are you guys on Threads yet?
What's Threads?
no, we're not.
What's that?
We're not.
Oh, is it
No.
the new Facebook?
It's fucking
one?
Meta Twitter.
Yeah, it's Meta Twitter.
and
I've
no,
heard
I'm
of
not on
this.
it.
You're not on it?
No.
Are you?
I'm not on Twitter either.
Wow.
I'm not on Twitter.
We're not on Twitter.
No, I'm
I
not
got
on
the
Twitter,
Threads. I got the
and I'm not on Facebook Twitter
What's
either.
My company's
What's the
on
Threads doing nowadays? You like it?
Just I don't know. I haven't used
It's
it yet.
Twitter. It's Twitter. They described it as a text-based communication platform.
No,
to
it's
keep,
Twitter. It's 100%
to keep in
Twitter.
touch with your whatever. It's Meta Twitter.
Yeah, it's Twitter.
It's Facebook Twitter.
Yeah.
Well,
They're-
Facebook dropped. I haven't heard anything about Meta. I think they've dropped the whole Meta thing.
Get a business account.
Oh,
And
is it
you
still
have an
Meta?
app called Meta.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because Meta's the overarching company.
Yeah. And Facebook's
So
and
then
underneath
so
that.
Facebook's a subsidiary. This is Meta Twitter.
So check
It's-
out Second Pitch on Twitter. Not Twitter.
On Threads.
On Threads.
Yeah.
On Threads.
So I might go back to Twitter just because now they're like, we fired 70% of the people there and took off all the filters, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh shit, it's Wild West again, baby.
Let's do this.
Go.
Let's
Warhammer
find out.
Twitter.
Get fucking weird.
Let's find out if this works or not.
Can we tweet like Warhammer tweets like we're the Emperor, and it's like his daily blog where it's like day 367 on Terra. I miss my sons.
Year 10,942 without sex.
I think I'm still sitting on this chair, but I'm not quite sure.
My butt hurts.
My butt hurt.
Have you ever been on a really
I
long
really wish
car
I hadn't.
ride?
Really?
Really wish I hadn't banned Preparation H.
really craving some.
I hope
chicken
someone
nuggets.
finds that STC of Preparation H real soon.
Yeah. You don't know, Chafe.
No, Chief. I was born in it. I lived it.
The Emperor probably has a massive AARP account though.
ARP account? Yes, he does.
You don't know.
The
ours.
Emperor's out there.
He gets free coffee
Yeah.
before 10 o'clock at McDonald's.
That's because you don't know Imp.
You don't know.
Yeah. All right. Games, drinks, and hijinks.
Bye.
Go out there and take part of it. Hit him with him, Jim.
Bye.